starting now. Okay.
All right, well, let's see, I'll go ahead and call our meeting to order. Let's see, what time? 9:34.
Yes.
Let's see, the first item of business is to approve the agenda and any additions. Let's see, Lauren, I noticed, let's see, on the, down there in the new business, items C and D really need to be moved up to old business.
Okay.
We're just gonna give updates from our last budget workshop, so
Okay.
just be quick updates on those two. Does anybody see any other corrections or additions to the agenda?
No.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the agenda with the revisions just discussed? Okay, do we have a second?
Second. I didn't hear the first. I'm sorry.
I think Omar made a motion. So we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, all right. Let's see, the agenda is approved and we'll move on. The next item is the approval of minutes.
And
Let's see,
Dan,
we got
we do have several, and I put these on there because they are monthly agenda items, but I didn't know if y'all wanted to table this until we were all back together again. Or, I mean, y'all had copies of the minutes and we can approve them if you want to.
I don't really have a preference. I guess we all have to sign them at some point. I guess as far as the open records, you've prepared them within the within 3 days, and they have just a draft on them.
That's
Currently.
correct, yes, sir.
That's correct. Okay. Let's see. What do you recommend? We table them and just move on?
That's what I was thinking, yes, sir.
All right. Do we have a motion to table the approval of the minutes?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to table the approval of the minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all right, the motion to table passes. Okay, and let's see, then the next item is public comment.
I don't have any public comment.
Okay. All right, then we'll move on to old business. First item is update on the personal property audit.
Yes, sir. And Darcy Davis from the consulting company is on the meeting as well. And I have got these documents. I'm get these moved to the correct page. And she's here to give us any updates or answer any questions that y'all may have, okay?
All right, well, let's say first, usually you give us a status update on the progress.
Dan, since I was not able to go into the office, I don't have the exact numbers for the reports. However, Janet has some figures and she's on here as well. I'm going to unmute her and let her give you those numbers, okay?
Yeah, just a high level overview will be fine.
Okay, Janet, are you ready?
Yes. Are you wanting the overview for like this meeting or
Yeah, just give him an update for the overview for this meeting, please.
what you're fixing to see? Okay. This month we had a total of 40 audits that was sent to us from Darcy and Al. There were 13 included in that. There was 13 accounts deleted, and there were just a second. There were 27 that were actually had reports on. Out of those, there were 9 Marines that had notice of assessments attached, and there was 1 business account with a notice of assessments attached. That's what you're going to see in this list right here, all of those.
Okay, and we're still on track, as far as the, you, satisfied with the progress?
I'm satisfied with the progress. Yes, sir, I am. This is the most we got at one time. Is quite a few accounts. The only business we got is the one in front of us right here, and the remaining are just are marine. And it looks like they're trying to clear up the marine accounts and get those done. I think they're having, of course, they can't do any on sites right now due to, the COVID-19, the restrictions there. And I'm sure they'll be picking those up as soon as they can and starting over with those as soon as we get these Marines completed.
Okay, so the business visits are suspended currently due to the COVID-19 situation?
Well, they are, and I'm sure Darcy can relay some more information on that on their end.
Yes, sir. We are unable to schedule those on sites for the simple fact that most businesses are closed to the public, and most people are working remotely. So it's been difficult to obtain documents when that house is empty, for lack of better terms. So once the restrictions are lifted and we are able to schedule the on-sites and get back into those businesses, we'll be able to conduct some more on-site reviews.
Okay, all right. Well, sounds like y'all have been busy with the office portion. As Janet was saying that we've got, I think, some more reports this month than we've been seeing.
Yes, sir. We were able, since we're not allowed to be on the road, we have been able to really work on getting these marine reports done to get those to you, because we had those information and all of that was primarily through email, phone, and text with the taxpayers. And we tried to make those Marines the priority to get those done, because most taxpayers don't understand what this audit is about and they want to answer right away. Businesses are more familiar with the audit process, and so they generally are more understanding with the back and forth process. So we agreed to expedite these Marines and go ahead and get them done so the taxpayers, have some resolution on that.
Okay, all right, great. Are there any questions about the status update?
So this one business update, the Holmes business.
Mr. McCants, there's going to be numerous ones. This is just the first one that's in the list of the ones we've got to show y'all.
Okay, I thought she said that there was only one business and 9 Marine.
That's one business and 9 Marines with that actually has any adjustments or that are getting the notice of assessments. If you notice on this, on this audit summary, on the right side, 2017, there's a negative 8669.
Yeah.
When, if in the other reports, these would always be zeroed out if there's no changes, no results from the audit.
Okay.
But you're just seeing the ones that have the differences in the audit and the original reports.
Okay, so the
All right,
first,
if there's no, let's say, Lauren, you've got some reports you wanted to show us. Let's go over that in the new business. We just, so this concludes the status update.
yes, this does include the status update.
Okay. All right, let's see, what's next on our agenda?
Well, Dan, while Darcy's here, can we go ahead and go through all of these personal property accounts? I guess we'll have to skip around on the agenda a little bit, and then where she can weigh in if we have any questions, and then we can
Yeah,
go back
that'd be
to the
fine.
other-
So you want to go ahead and go over those next then?
Yes, please.
All right, okay, all right. All right, what you got?
Okay, well, the first one is Franklin Homes account. it was, as you can see on these numbers, the only year that it was actually taxable was the 2017 year. The other years, the other 2 years, it was under the $7,500 threshold. And so there will be notices of assessment sent, but it looks to me like, and correct me if I'm wrong, the only year that there'll be a refund would be for the 2017 year. And so this is the year here that he'll have his assessment notice that we need to approve the values on this one. Do y'all have any questions on that?
So we owe him $104.42.
That it should be close to that. The only question I would have would be if that millage rate was exactly right for that tax year, but it should be right around that number. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I see it's in an individual's name. So it's just his business is not incorporated. It's just personal. Is that right?
Is that how he made the return, Jan?
Yes, that's correct. That's how I
And
made
it
the
is for
return.
it is for the lawn care business.
That's correct. Yes.
Yes, sir.
That's correct.
Thanks.
Okay. So, and I guess we'll just move through these, and at the end, y'all can make a motion to approve them all if that's okay.
Yeah, that'd be
Unless
fine.
there's one that you have questions about or reservations. Okay, so the next one is a boat audit. For Robert Stevens Jr. It looks like the boat was returned for less than the audited amount for 17 and 18, and then for 2019, it was returned a little bit higher than the audited amount. So there will be assessment notices sent for all 3 years on this account.
Okay, zoom in on that one a minute again. So is that just a form that has 7 boats on it and he's got 2 boats? Is that right?
He's just got the, well, yeah, he's got,
Well, I'll clarify that. On that situation, he had 2 boats, but one he sold, and they both got picked up in 2018. So they overlapped in 2018.
Okay, it looked like there was 7 boats with a bunch of them 0, but that's just,
Right. That's just the form.
okay, thanks.
Mhm.
okay, so this is his 2017 assessment notice. And then the 2018 and 2019. Any further questions here?
Okay, let's move on.
Okay. This is very similar situation. The boats were on this account, it looks like the boats were returned for a little bit more than they were audited for on the first boats. And then on the second boat, it was returned at less than it was audited for. And it looks like that still results in a negative because of the first vote. So we've got the assessment notices for all years on this one as well. And it looks like it'll be a small return on each year.
Okay.
The next account in 2017, the boat was not returned at all. In 2018, it was returned for less than it was audited for, and in 2019, it was returned for a little bit less than it was audited for. So this will result in assessment notices for all years on this account as well. And I'll flip through these notices.
Let's see, how does that work in 2017 if they owned it on January 1st? It's taxable, is that right?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
that's-
And I assume that was the case that y'all found.
or according to the bill of sale, they bought it in 2016.
Okay, all right, thanks.
And so those are the 3 assessment notices on that account. Here's the summary on this account, 3009. It looks like in this case, the boat was returned for a little bit more than it was audited for all 3 years, which will result in a refund for the taxpayer. Small refund. There's the 17, here's the 18, and then the 19 year. Any questions on that one?
Let's move on.
Okay. Account 2857. For 17, it looks like there was 1 boat returned. It was audited with a 0 value. That carries forward for 18 and 19 on that boat. And then there was a second boat that was returned for more than it was audited for in 17, returned for the same amount it was audited for in 18, and returned for the same amount that it was audited for in 19. So that'll result in a small return for this taxpayer as well. And here are the assessment notices. Move forward.
Let's see, I noticed it dropped considerably. I think boat number 2 dropped from the first year to the second year, from 12,000 to, well, no, I guess the audit amount, though, was corrected. It was supposed to be 8480. Okay, I see it now.
Okay. Account 3465. I'm assuming since there's not a 2017 year that the boat was purchased sometime in 2017. Is that correct, Darcy?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so we've got a small variance here on the audited versus the returned amount for both years. It's going to result in a refund. The assessment notices follow. Y'all good with me moving forward?
Yeah, if there's no questions, you can move on.
Okay. Account number 2973. Looks like we have 2 boats for 2017, 3 boats for 18, and 2 boats for 19. We're seeing the same thing here, variances on the return and the audited. First year, it's going to result in a refund. The second and third year, it's going to result in additional taxes owed. Any questions on this one?
I guess, let's see, that would be, I noticed it dropped a good bit. That must have been like a new boat. It depreciated a good bit in the,
Well, it looks like there's just a difference in the amount that was returned. They returned it for considerable amount more than it was audited at.
well, I just see the first year it was audited at 15,000. the second year it was audited 11,000.
Darcy?
It was, hold on a second, let me pull up the report. That was the variation.
I was just,
That was the depreciation between the years, but the main drop was because it was originally identified as a different model. And when we confirmed the report, we verified that it was a different model that was being assessed.
I see. So that might made a big difference in what he had returned.
Correct, versus what was the
Right.
audited findings.
But, and I assume boats are like cars, they depreciate a lot that first, the first couple of years.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Okay, so the next account is account 1240. We just have a small variance in the return and the audited amount, which will result in additional taxes due on one boat. Okay, I'm gonna keep going forward if y'all don't have any questions.
Okay.
Looks like this taxpayer has 3 boats. In the first year of the audit, only one of the 3 boats had been returned. So there will be a penalty on the first year for the discovery on these boats in the amount of the $20,030. And then the following years, there is no penalty because we only assess the penalty in the first year of the discovery. But there will be additional taxes owed on the boats due to the variance in the values. I'll have any questions?
When you, Dorsey, when you discover something like this, do you notify the owner then on the spot, or does it just get word in a letter later?
We send them the letter that explains what the variances were. We don't notify them then on the spot because they're processed. We don't process the returns, process the audit reports at the time of the review.
Okay, so he would not necessarily know that he's got a penalty of 20K.
That's correct. He wouldn't know until we finish the report.
Yeah, okay.
Let's, I have a question about the penalty. Is that just the amount the penalty's calculated on? That's just, that's
Yes,
not
that's
the penalty.
So that it's 10% of that value.
So the penalty's actually gonna be like $2,000
Yes, sir.
for
Times,
failing to return 20,000 in value.
Now, the
Right.
penalty is not 2,000, it's 10% of the total times the millage rate, correct, Darcy?
Okay, so it won't even be 2,000, it'll be the,
no, it's 10% times the 40% assessment rate times the millage rate.
okay.
So if you'll see here, that's how it's looking there for the assessment notice.
So he would have, okay, so that doesn't have the penalty, would be 10% on top of that?
No, that's got the penalty added in. So see, your audit result is 22,060, but your assessed value is 24,000. Your appraised value is 24,063. That appraised value includes the penalty.
Y'all see
Okay, I
this here?
see, so, right, and I see there, that clarifies value subject to penalty, so that clarifies your other form that made it look like it was a $20,000 penalty, late penalty.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
sir.
that's the value subject penalty. Okay, thanks.
And I can correct that I can make it on those forms moving forward if you'd like for it to reflect it that way instead.
That may be clearer. Like I say, at a first glance, it looks like it's a $20,000 penalty.
Yes, sir. I can make those changes moving forward, where on that summary page, it shows what the 10% value is.
But yeah, I guess if that word was just changed to value subject to penalty the way it is on the assessment notices, then
Okay.
But now
Because
this
I
is
still
something
need
that-
to see the total amount that was subject to the penalty.
Okay, I'll just
Right.
add the word in there above it that says value subject to penalty.
My
That's
concern
fine.
is these phones, when they go to taxpayer, we just want them to be clear.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
and they don't go to the taxpayer without the assessment notice, and so he would get this assessment notice in the same packet, and it would be obvious that he was not going to be owing, you know, a $20,000 penalty.
I
It
think
wouldn't
the
be obvious if you looked at several pieces of paper, though.
I think the wording that you use, Lauren, would work well. Value subject to penalty.
And that's the same thing that it says here on the assessment notice.
I think going forward, we probably done some other stuff like that. We talk about continuous improvement. I think going forward, that it would be clarified, so.
Okay.
that's
And
all.
so those are the other two assessment notices for him. Okay, so that is, for now, that is all of the personal property audits that have been conducted. And then we had one more personal property agenda item down at H under new business that I wanted to get out of the way so that Darcy can get off the call if she needs to.
All right, now let's see. We prefer to approve these nine report. Or us who were in the one business, is that right?
Yes, sir.
So you need a motion to approve the values as recommended by the appraiser.
Yes.
Motion?
Second,
Okay, a motion and a second to approve the values from personal property audits. As presented. Is there any further discussion? None, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, the motion passes.
Am I the only one having problems hearing you now? Hearing Dan?
He's breaking up some for me too. Yes, sir.
Me
Okay.
too.
I was afraid that would happen, because I got slow internet speed. Y'all, just a minute, I'm gonna try dialing in my phone.
Can you still dial in, Dan, or not?
I'm gonna try, hold on just a minute.
Okay.
While we're waiting on Dan, refresh me on what Freeport is. Lauren, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Jan, can you help Mr. McCants with that?
I think Darcy might be more helpful with that than I am at this right now.
Okay, Freeport is a tax exemption that is at the state and local level for businesses involved in certain types of commerce. And what it does, it's meant to give a tax break to businesses on inventory that's either in process, held for distribution, or like raw materials that are going into something else. It varies from county to county, so it depends on your local ordinances on that. But so these are where they have to file it, and it's based on a percentage of what what their values are here. And
Okay,
they
so,
are eligible for a tax exemption on that volume if they apply by the deadline.
on that inventory, okay.
Is there a time limit on that?
They have to be submitted by April 1st.
Each year?
Each year, they have to apply
Yeah.
each year. And there's varying levels of value that is exempt. So if they miss that April 1st deadline, then they have other benchmarks, and the later they are, the lower their approved value is. Or deduct.
That's what I wanted. Thank you.
All right, can everyone hear me fine now?
Hold on, Dan. I think I've got to mute your, I've got to mute you on the, here, so that you can talk over the telephone. Okay, try again.
Can everyone hear me fine now? I think I'm muted by computer.
Yeah, I muted the computer and I can hear you fine on the call.
Okay,
I
all right,
can
we'll
too.
move on then. All right, so I've got y'all up on the video on the computer, and then I've got you on my cell phone for speaker. All right, let's see, what was our next agenda item? Lauren, pull back up our agenda.
Well, right now we need to, Darcy's still here. We need to go over these Freeports in case y'all have any questions. I cannot screen share those Freeport applications due to client confidentiality. So but we can discuss them, but I can't preview the application for you guys.
Okay, all right, we'll move ahead then, discuss the Freeports. Go ahead and present your recommendations.
Okay, these recommendations are coming from Al. He has reviewed these applications. And hold on, I'm trying to get to the page I have where the summary, okay? On the first one with Martin Marietta, his response to that is that the Freeport's been granted in the past years. The company continues to be in the mining business as in prior years. They have listed nearly $4,000 in supplies, and it balances with their Schedule B, and his recommendation on that one is to approve.
What's your recommendation, Lauren?
Well, I agree with Al, you know, that everything matches on their return and their Freeport application, and the inventory is applicable to the Freeport exemption. So the recommendation on that one is to approve.
Okay, all right, do you want to do it one by one or
Yes, we
what
need
do
to
you
do
got,
them
three?
one
Is
by
that what
one.
Okay, all right, so let's see, that's Martin Marietta. We have a recommendation from Lauren to approve the Freeport application of Martin Marietta. Do we have a motion?
Motion,
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the Freeport application of Martin Marietta. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
aye.
Okay, the motion passes. Okay, Lauren, what's the next one, Lauren?
The next one's for Junction City Mining. They have also received Freeport in past years. They have returned the same taxable amounts of inventory from year to year. or recommend approval on this one as well.
Okay, we have a recommendation to approve the Freeport application of Junction City Mining. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the Freeport application of Junction City Mining. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, the motion passes. Let's see then, what's the last one, Lauren?
Oh, there's two more actually. The next one's from Robinson Paving. And the law was changed on the Freeport exemption 2 years ago. And so until the application is submitted and approved or denied, where our hands are kind of tied on more information that we can ask them for. And so really we need more information on this one, but until we act on it, we can't ask for more information. So they have asked for Freeport on state contract equipment exemption, and we need more information on that. And then their Freeport on raw materials is allowed under certain circumstances, but we need to request more information from them before we can move forward on approval on this application.
So does that mean we have to refuse it?
Darcy, can you weigh in there? Can we just table this one and with a request for more information?
Yes, you do have that right.
Okay. So the recommendation on this one would be to table until more information is received.
Okay, so then y'all are gonna request more information from them, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And that's the asphalt plant there near the school.
It is.
Okay. Let's see, we have a recommendation from Lauren to table the Freeport application from Robinson Paving so they can get further information, request further information from Robinson. Do we have a motion to table it?
Motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? Let's say law, and who do they have, a CPA or somebody that that y'all are dealing with for them?
Shannon, is there a contact person?
I'm sure I have a contact person and I can get something to them. Yes, that's not a problem.
Okay, so y'all will just be working with them to,
Whoever the contact
to get
person
what
is on
you
the
need.
information to return or in the Freeport application, I can contact them and get the information. I can attempt to get the information that we need. Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, so y'all are gonna continue to work with them, okay?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are there any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, let's see, we have a motion to table on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, so the motion to table passes. And then let's see, Lauren, you have another one.
Yes, the last one's Brown Brothers Sand. Al's recommendation on this one was to deny, based on the fact that he thinks that all of the inventory has not been reported on this current return or on this Freeport application. Darcy, do you have any further information on that?
I don't, I have not looked at that file, so I can't speak on it.
So I guess we could do the same thing on this one, table it and ask for more information. I know we have a contact person there, and then we could come back to these if more information is provided.
Okay, well, the main thing is we need to do the due diligence to, as far as, what they've submitted, it needs to be reviewed and in accordance with, laws and regulations and so forth. And, okay, so you recommended to table that one as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a recommendation from the Lauren to table the Freeport application of Brown Brothers until they can do more investigation. And contact the applicant. Do we have a motion to table it?
Motion?
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? If none, or hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, so the motion to table, Brown Brothers application, passes. All right, does that, conclude the, personal property audit?
Yes, sir, it does.
Okay.
I am
Okay,
going
well, all right, well, all right, thanks for joining us and giving us an update there.
no problem. Thank y'all for having me.
See you later, Darcy.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay,
Let's see, then the next item is schedule update for the, digest year 2020.
yes, sir, that's correct. And I have, Stan King has also dialed in from GMAS to discuss that with you guys as well.
Okay, great.
Stan, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. So basically here, we've hired GMAS to do the schedule updates for us, because our current ratio indicated that we needed to make a change in those schedules. And they have completed the work, and at this time, we're going to have to decide to apply their numbers or to possibly hold those numbers until next year due to the current state of affairs in Georgia. And Stan's going to weigh in on that.
Thanks, Lauren. Good morning, board. Thanks for having me, but I apologize. I don't have all the data with me available. We had another meeting scheduled. It's actually going on right now in Coweta County, and Greg Reese is another individual that assisted with the revow. So I've got part of the data, and I think the bulk of the data, and he's given me a brief on what he was on the information he had presented, Lauren, on the rural land side. So I have the information on the urban land side, the difference being primarily residential, commercial type properties on the studies that I'd presented to Lauren. Lauren's correct. It indicated based on the sales that occurred in 2019, I'm showing we had 22 sales in 2019 that indicated your current ratios based on the assessments with the old schedules produced a ratio of around 32% of market value. And we were needing to raise that to 40% or somewhere between 36 and 44. We're currently, after completing the changes in wind gap, the mass appraisal model reevaluation. Basically, we started with updating all the cost schedules on the improvements and reviewing areas out in the county as far as land sales. So we reviewed land sales and improved sales. We didn't make very many changes, and Lauren may be able to address the rural land better than I, since she probably has the reports in front of her. But on the urban land, we only changed 4 what we call land subrecords, or areas of parcels using the same valuation method. That was around the Oak Mountain Lake area and in Neely subdivision, and 2 downtown areas of commercial properties. It was the Talbot Drive area and the Washington Street North section. That would have affected, I would imagine, less than 100 parcels, probably even closer to 50. Lauren, do you know the exact count of what was affected there?
Yes, sir, I don't have an exact count. I don't have an exact count of how many were affected in that area.
We can get that number of parcels affected. But you can see by the ratios, if you just took a rough number based on those ratios, it would indicate that it's about 15% low on the values. So we addressed those areas in the land and corrected or updated all the improvement values. But another thing we had done is rolled the depreciation year to 2020. Yeah, there you go. That last slide you had.
This one that's up now, or
yes,
this one?
That's correct. That's the before and after ratios after we made the changes in wind gap. The first one indicates both improved and vacant sales, and then we broke those down to showing you just the vacant land sales, which were only 4 of them, and just the improved sales, which were 18 sales. And then below that, we just looked at commercial, and then we just looked at residential. And you can see the before and after ratios. So we basically updated values to reflect what we think the current market was based on the sales that occurred in 2019. I think our concern and Lauren's concern as well is that at the time these properties had closed and was recorded, there was no talk about COVID, and we don't know what the effects are going to be. Greg is currently in a meeting demonstrating the data that we had, trying to track statewide. But so far in all of our project or our local counties where we have all the data and we've got good qualified sales that we're reviewing, we really don't have an indication that the values of properties have been decreased. And if you look at it on a statewide basis, we're tracking all the PT61 data, but that's going to include all classes, all types, qualified and unqualified sales. We're not showing an indication of value decrease there either. However, there is a notable, and I'm talking about all the transactions that's occurred since January 1st till today. Well, it would have been last week. And the indication is there's a steep decrease in the number of transactions. Now, someone could argue that was because the clerks were shut down there for about a week, and then there was an issue with their website and the transition of people going to recording these online. May have been the cause of that decrease, or it's just the number of decreases of transactions. But that doesn't indicate value. You know, the value, you look at the average sale price of those, or parcels that have sold more than once in the last couple of years. And we don't show that graph. If you plot that, it's not showing the steep decrease. It's a steady increase as well. However, those transactions that we're looking at today, they closed at least 30 days ago. So those, you know, probably most of those are prior to, you know, any COVID issues. And so we really still don't know what the market is going to do as a result of this. We know there's a larger number of unemployments. And the banks aren't allowed to foreclose now, but as soon as everything is opened back up and we're supposedly back to normal, those foreclosures will start to happen. So really, there's no indication of what the market or economy is going to do on property values until we can analyze what's occurred in April, May, and possibly June. That, I think, is going to give us a better indication. We just wanted you to be aware that, you know, if you were here and lived through the 08 crisis in the tax assessor's world, what had happened there, we're looking in the law states, what is the value as January 1st? However, you know, back then we mailed notices of January 1st looking at prior year transaction. However, the economy collapse occurred. And the result of that was because we didn't try to be proactive or make some sort of adjustment for that. And I'm talking about we being statewide assessors, not necessarily picking on one. But the legislature had imposed the moratorium values where it froze the assessments. No inflationary increases can occur by law for 3 years. So we just want everybody to be mindful of the situation, the times we're in. The data we're looking at is saying the economy is great, values are increasing. We need to do these reassessments. You're looking at a substantial increase in some areas. And that's what we're relying on, the data, the facts. I just want you guys to be aware, and I think Greg as well, and Lauren, I'm sure, having to live through that 08 crisis. And I'm not trying to compare the two because it's completely different issues. You know, you had gas prices at $5 a gallon. You had a surplus of inventory out there. You don't have that today. So it's a totally different scenario, but it is, I think it warrants for you guys to think about if we should do anything, and if we do, what should we do? But as far as the job we were contracted to do, we're completed with our analysis. We provided Lauren with the reports and the changes. I think as far as the values in Wind Gap now look accurate, and they're holding fair market value based on those sales.
Okay.
Dan,
All right. Thanks, Dan. Let's see, you mentioned the 32%, I believe that was rural land. It's hard to read. I think Lauren's got some stuff pulled up, but it's hard to read small. Go over the classes. I believe you mentioned rural land. You mentioned
Right, I don't
32%.
have, I'm sorry. I don't have the rural land analysis that Greg had sent you, Lauren. If you could pull that up, I'd be happy to talk about it. Again, Greg Reese, which is the appraiser that developed the rural land changes. What you're seeing on the screen here is the analysis that I performed on the urban land and the commercial properties.
Well, that's what I was wanting was what is the ratio on the other classes? How bad? In other words, I know just the high level views. You know, we had a reevaluation done a few years ago.
That's right.
We got dead on to 40%, and it was basically like a perfect score there for 1 year, and then we've seen it drop. And the concern was that Lauren had is that we were going to be falling out of compliance. In other words, I think this last time we were 38 point something, and based on the sales she was seeing, we were going to be falling out of compliance.
That's great, and I think that illustrates that here.
Right, and that's what I understood you were saying on the rural land when you said the 32%. That tells me Lauren was correct, and that we were going to be way out of compliance. And of course, that's a big category we have in Talbot County.
Correct.
But what was the sort of the high level findings in other classes, like residential and commercial, and so were they also, having price increases and so on, the value increasing?
Yes, sir. It was across the board. But however, the residential, it was a higher increase than the agricultural. The last reevaluation we done was pretty involved. I mean, we went out and we measured every house, photographed every house, and it was a complete change and overhaul in your mass appraisal model, WINGAP, the schedules and tables and how we developed that.
That's right. Y'all did the reevaluation.
That's
for
right.
us. That's right.
Correct. That was a more involved, intense, longer process. What we have done this year is basically update that same model. We just update the base cost, and you're going to continue to have to do that every year. But we've made it much easier to maintain. It didn't take us near as long this year to make those adjustments or changes that it did the original year we done the reval, because the market is always fluctuating up and down. But just to give you an idea, statewide and all the counties we're contracted in, the average increase in the last 3 years is about 6% per year. That's just market values have increased on real estate, 6% per year. And if you leave your assessments at the same value, you're going to fall out of compliance eventually. So we're making small incremental adjustments now to the base cost as far as, what it costs to build a house, what it costs to pave a driveway, things like that.
Is that 6% across the board, or 6% of residential? Come up.
No, I was given, that was in statewide market values. If you look at these reports here.
I will say that Greg's initial recommendation on our rural land was to raise values approximately 3% across the board, but he, given the current situation, he retracted that recommendation. And
when is your review year? Your digest review year?
Actually, I think it's 2019.
So you have 2 more years before the audit department, or I'm sorry, the Department of Revenue will review your office and values.
Yes, sir.
Well, they did a sales study every year.
Well, that's the Department of Audits, correct. But the Department of Revenue will do what they call a performance review or digest review, where they'll come in and count the number of employees and appraisers and light bulbs and make sure everything's correct in the office. And that's where you will be cited for not being in compliance or possibly being put under consent order. And if you're not currently cited, or you're not currently have a conditionally approved digest from last year, or you're not under.
Well, we have been in that situation in prior years. That's what we hired y'all a few years back for the reevaluation.
Right.
Because we had been conditionally approved. We were facing not only the county was going to be paying penalties for every parcel because of being undervalued. Right. Then we lose the utility, on the railroads and power lines and gas lines, and we have a number of utilities. So it's very important that we maintain our ratio within the compliance. We want to stay within the 0.38 to 0.42, so right. We get the full. We're fully in compliance. And of course, that's why we heeded Lauren's recommendation to hire you all to do this study. And so it sounded like y'all were finding that the prices had increased when y'all went back and looked at the sales for last year. And I guess y'all also looked at the first part of these. Y'all looked at all available data, as I understand it.
Correct.
Preparing your report. And so, and so, if I understand right, that's what y'all are doing here today is Lauren, you're just presenting the report from our consultants. Is that right?
Yes, and we're going to have to make a decision either to move forward with these numbers to hold off until next year, or to maybe just hit the pause button until there's more data in and wait to mail assessment notices, which will make digest submission and everything. It will push all those dates further back. But I just want to make sure that as a office and a board that we're doing our due diligence before we send these notices out. And while the sales as of January 1st did indicate an increase in values, with the economy up in the air, I feel like we have got to make either make a decision to move forward, to roll back, or just to hit the pause button and wait for more data to come in before we make a decision.
And then remind us as board, normally we'd be sending out assessment notices at this time of year, here in early May. And I know when we hired Stan and his firm, we had it very emphatic. We wanted it done by April so we could apply it. But as I understand now, the timeline has been moved, and it would like the April 1st date were pushed out till June. Let's see, what is the timeline for the notice of assessments this year?
Well, we had originally intended to send them that second week of May. But now due to all of the extensions, I mean, basically, we won't have any problem with our assessment notices being late, because it's my understanding that they are going to give digest extensions. But at the same
That's what I'm
time,
asking, is the Department of Revenue, they've extended that calendar on your wall, is that correct?
Well, I don't think they have by law the authority to do that, but they do have the authority to allow extensions. And I believe the word from Ellen has been that they're going to be very lenient on requests for extensions. But I would like to add to what Lauren was saying, is that we have performed the reevaluation, is basically modifying our last total reval that we had done. And it's not going to hurt anything not to implement these changes as far as any kind of being cited from the state for this year.
Dan's concern is us falling below the 38% and not being able to collect at the full rate for the utilities and so on and so forth.
I understand. Okay, then that may be an issue. Yes, sir. But I was wanting to clarify that we're on board and will assist. You've paid us to do a job, and we did the job. And if you guys elect to hold off and want to do it for next year, we'll be happy to help Lauren reverse back those numbers and introduce those numbers again next year. I mean, the work's been paid for, and we're here until you guys are satisfied and happy with it. Whatever, that's not a concern or issue with us. I just wanted to make sure that you're aware that the potential increases here that we're looking at, I'm not sure would be absorbed by the public as well during these times, but we don't know. We just want to give you the information and the facts and let you guys make the decision.
Okay, all right, well, thanks, Stan. We appreciate and we're pleased that you all finished the task timely for us. Like I say, none of us anticipated we were going to be in the current, the pandemic situation, and wouldn't have seen that a few months back. But like I said, we're pleased that y'all have got the study completed and have got to us. And so sound like, just in a high level view, that y'all did find that values had gone up across all classes. Is that correct? To some degree, maybe some classes more than others.
That is correct. And like Lauren said, on Greg's analysis, it was a 3%, but on the residential urban, it was a 15, and the commercial was close to that 15% as well.
Mhm. Okay, all right, thanks. So let's see.
But now those are gross
far-
numbers, no exemptions, okay? Those are 100%. That makes sense. I don't
Right,
want
and
you
that
to
would be,
get that
and
percentage
that would be
confused in
like the-
tax or anything. Yes, sir.
right, and that would be like I think of the residential, you have sort of the base, like the 1,500 square foot brick house or whatever, that's the base.
Correct.
That then all the fireplaces and pools and everything's added to, so that you're basically saying the base value is
And let me
If you
say too,
adjust
those were based on those sales. That may not be the total percentage on the total digest. I don't have those numbers. That would be on the consolidation reports. And you can see a percentage of change by class.
okay. All right, so let's see, Lauren, as far as the status update on the sales study and the consultant's work, basically it's complete and we've got a report. Is anything else on the status of, and as far as do I understand correctly that the values have been applied in the camera system?
Yes,
Yes, sir, they have.
Okay, and so what's the question about doing the notice of assessments? Is when you say, would it be applied or not applied, or do we have to?
Well,
board
y'all
needs to
have
take
to,
that.
y'all have to approve numbers before we can print assessment notices. And
I know we always approve your in May every year, we approve sending the notices.
right. And so the board is going to have to decide at this point whether we're going to move forward, roll back, or just hold off on notices completely until we can have more information on sales.
Okay. All right, so it sounds like, of course, this here on the old business, we're getting a status update. And so it sounds like you just need to provide the report, the GMAS report, and share that with us. Is that, and then,
I want to ask Stan a quick question. Stan, for other counties, are y'all recommending at this point that they wait on assessment notices, or is it varying from county to county, or what?
Well, our recommendation is absolutely to hold off as long as possible. But we work with several different counties and they're under different processes. The last couple of counties I've been in this week, they've been a total reevaluation the past 2 years, and this one here in Coweta since 2017, we've been undergoing a reevaluation. So we've completed that and submitted the numbers and reports to their board as well this morning, but we're reiterating the same message. Here's the information, here's the facts. And most cases, like this one here, is a much larger increase. But on all of our maintenance projects where we're holding market values, we are freezing any inflationary growth. We're not doing any inflationary growth in those counties. They're not a review year. They're not out of compliance either way. We're maintaining those counties year after year, trying to keep that 38 to 40 ratio. And every year we do incremental adjustments. We're freezing any inflationary adjustments in those type counties. But our total reval counties, it's the same message that we're giving you guys. We just want you to be aware of the facts of the situation and let you guys make the choice. In some counties, it's not an option. And in other counties, they elect, it's different per county.
So while we may fall below the 38%, which was our complete and total hope not to, we will not be.
Well, the state
risking-
may give you a conditionally approved digest if you're below 36 or above 44. If your study from the audit department is accepted by the Department of Revenue. And they may say, hey, you've failed your median COD or PRD study on one of these classes of properties. You'll be cited with a conditionally approved digest in which you'll have 3 years to fix that.
Right.
And if you don't have that fixed, if you don't have that fixed within 3 years, then you'll fall under a consent order in which you'll have an additional 3 years to fix that. And if you don't fix that, that's when the heavy fines and potential office closure could occur.
Right. And we've been there before, and that's what we don't want to get again. So,
Correct.
okay. All right. Well, thanks, Stan. So y'all have completed the report and provided it to Lauren, and it's, and it was, y'all did the report based on the best information available.
Yes,
And so we just got to digest it, I guess. Okay. All right. Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, Stan.
yes, sir. Thank y'all.
Let's see. Lauren, anything else on the sales study update on your
No,
progress
sir.
report?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. Did you need Stan to hang around, or do you want to?
No, that's, if y'all don't have any other questions for him, no, sir.
Right. I think at this time it's basically we've got to look at the report. It's hard for me to see on, you know, you've got some things pulled up there, but I assume that's just a page out of the report. What just the high level of the report, is it 10 pages, 20 pages, or do we have like an executive summary or
I mean, it's not, it's just a couple of pages. I can forward that email after the meeting.
there was that? And I guess, but you know, Sandra and I'm you can weigh in too, but I guess we need to see see the report. And was this, that, you know, like I said, this was, you know, you normally give us a status update at our regular meetings of the progress. So now the status update is 100% complete. We've got the report in hand, if I understand correctly.
Yes, sir.
And so if you and Stan sort of sharing the high level concerns just with the economy and the COVID situation, but I guess as a board, we need to you need to share the report with us and the findings. And then I guess we can study it in further detail.
Okay. I will forward that email. Yes, sir.
So are you saying, Dan, are you just saying to table it or postpone it until we have a chance to study that?
I think so. I don't want to do anything in haste as far as I think we're pleased that it's complete. Like I say, normally we'd be sending out assessment notices at this time of year. And so normally we would, you know, the intent was we were going to act on it pretty quickly. But what I'm hearing is that, you know, the timeline's been extended this year.
Dan, they cannot technically give us an extension. What they can do is on a case-by-case basis approve extensions. And what the word is that's come down from DOR is that there will be basically those extensions, the case-by-case extensions will pretty much be given with no reservations.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Ron.
Now, with that being said, if we are going to hold off on mailing assessment notices until we have more sales data that's come in, we can send assessment notices on personal property only. We can go ahead and get those mailed once the personal property digest is complete. And I know I talked to Jan in depth about this last week, and she's probably only got maybe 4 more accounts to enter. And so we're very close to having that personal property digest done. If we're going to wait on our real property notices, I would like to go ahead and send the personal property notices out and be working those.
Okay. All right, well, sound like we're getting off the agenda. The agenda item was a status update on this sales study, so. Okay, all right, well, thanks, Stan.
Yes,
And,
sir. Thank y'all.
Like I said, we appreciate y'all getting right on our task and getting it timely completed for us.
Yes, sir. Thank
And,
you. If
like
you
I
got
said, always,
any other questions, concerns, just let us know. Lauren, we're here to help as always. Just, you got all our contacts and the BAT number.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
okay, great.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Let's see, Lauren, I believe that concludes our old business. Is that, well, no, let's see, I moved up the budget report.
So we were not to take any action there, just get a briefing on what he's done. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, that's what we've been doing each month, is getting a status update. You know, Lauren gives us a status update on our ongoing, the personal property audit. And then when we did this, had this sales study, you know, down under the new business, we'd take action. And of course, actually, if I understand right, we've now got a report with recommendations, you know, to take action. But it appears to me that the three of us need to review the report and sort of wrap our arms around it, so to speak, before we take action. All right, Lauren, you'll fill up our agenda.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's see. Then the next, we moved up the FY 2021 budget proposal update. Just quickly, I copied y'all on the email to Carol submitting our budget proposal. We did get it in timely. I guess it was a week ago today on the 29th, I submitted that to her. And I noticed I made a mistake in my email. I looked back at the package Lauren had put together from the prior years, and I saw the budget allocations from prior years and noticed, of course, we went down from the current year was less than the 2019 budget. FY 20 was less than FY 19. And then this one was a decrease, or appeared to be a decrease. And so I put that in my cover email that we will, but then I realized I was comparing apples and oranges. Later on, I looked at it and scratched my head, and I realized that when we get the budget back from the county manager, it includes the labor overhead, the indirect for Social Security and health insurance and retirement. And those are added on by Carol and her staff. And so I called her the next day and just told her I had egg on my face, that I realized I was comparing apples and oranges. And when I got to looking at it closer with that 3D mapping, we had included that 20,000 request. Our budget would have actually been a little bit, just slightly more than the current year. Of course, without that, it would have been less. But she and I, we had a good visit about it. And so, but we did get that submitted, and you all should have seen that email.
I did, yes.
Yeah.
Anything else on that? Any more updates on that, Lauren? Do you?
No, sir.
I guess no word from, I guess, Carol hadn't requested any more information or anything on it.
No, sir.
Okay. All right, and let's see, then we also, since our budget meeting, as you recall, we voted to appoint or promote Quentin to the deputy chief appraiser position. And so Lauren and I, we submitted the letter to Carol to institute that personnel action, and that was effective May the 1st. And so I believe I copied you all on that letter. You should have seen that. And let's see, Quentin, are you still on the meeting with us? I want to congratulate you and put more on your plate.
Well, Quentin, can you hear us? His audio must not be working, Dan.
He can hear y'all. He just can't hear right now. I mean, you can't hear him.
He's on and he can hear you, Dan, but for whatever reason, his audio is not working.
Okay, all right. Well, congratulations, Quentin. And I know if Lauren hadn't already got with you, she's going to be getting with you on revising your job description to add more, like I say, add more duties on your plate, and helping with some of the administrative tasks. But yeah, congratulations, and
Dan, he said,
Like I said-
Quentin told me to tell y'all, thank you very much, since his audio's not working.
Oh, okay. And well, like I say, we're mighty proud of all the staff, and y'all all just keep up the good work, and as we emphasize, you know, as we talk about trying to continually improve, I've got some things that Lauren and I've been talking about that we need to work on, and so you know, we're going Quentin put you to work on helping us improve in some areas, like we've talked about in the past, like procurement, for example, but anyway, that's exciting news. We're very pleased, and it went very smooth. I discussed that with Carol, and but so that we had, as always, Carol was very cooperative, and was pleased to get the personnel action implemented. Let's see, Lauren, anything else on that item?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, Quentin, just keep up the good work. Let's see. Then moving on to new business. Let's see, Lauren, you got errors and releases.
And we're going to have to table those as well because they're in my file at the office, and I have not been able to go get those.
Okay, so we have a motion to table the error and releases.
Motion?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. Let's see, next item is a budget report.
I don't have an updated budget report. I think that they're behind on some things in the county commissioner's office due to employees being ill.
Okay, all right, we'll move on. Let's see, homestead applications.
Yes, sir. We have one homestead application. Let me get to the screen for that, please. I'm trying to get there. Okay, it's for Gregory Cheney. It's an S5 veterans exemption. Quentin has all the paperwork on that, and his recommendation is that we approve this application. And Jan, I know that Quentin can't, his audio is not working, but I think we'll have some questions. When was the S5, when was the letter written from the Veterans Affairs? At what date? Is this going to be retroactive, or has Mr. Cheney just bought this property?
Just give me, Lauren, if you just give me a second, I'll get that information for you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. It was effective December 1st, 2019, Lauren.
Okay. So this application will be for the 2020 digest year, I'm assuming. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Board.
Okay, so we have a recommendation to approve the homestead application from Gregory Cheney. Do we have
Yes,
a
sir. I
motion?
just need a motion and a second.
Motion?
Second.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, motion passes and the application is approved.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see, what's next on our agenda?
Conservation use.
Okay,
We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 applications for conservation. We've got a continuation and then 4 more with a renewal and a release attached to those. The release is to be released for the previous 10-year covenant, and then they're renewing it for another 10 years. And the continuation is based on a ownership change.
okay, so all of these are recommending approval.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's see, we've got a recommendation from the chief appraiser to approve the conservation use application, exemption applications as presented. Do we have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, so the motion passes to approve the applications. Okay, let's see, do we have any releases this month, Lauren?
Just the releases that are applicable to the previous 10-year covenant on those that were renewals.
Okay, do we need a separate motion to approve the releases or that?
I was thinking it was all done in that first motion because that was my recommendation.
That's part of, okay, so that was all recommendation was to approve it as presented together, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no, okay. All right, thanks, Josh. What's the next item?
I don't have any forest land protection covenants. And then we had already gone over the Freeport applications. And so we just have members matters and the date for the next meeting and the adjournment. That's all that's left.
Okay, let's see, under the member matters, Sandra, did you have anything?
No, I don't have anything. We still haven't heard anything on that Butner issue, have we?
No, ma'am, I have been discussing the application with our council and with the Department of Revenue, and we've got a couple of more things we need to do to follow up on that.
Okay, just curious.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
I understand, Lauren, the next step, I believe, is you're gonna do a site view, or the staff's gonna do a site visit, do an appointment with, Buckner out there and visit it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's still pending, but they're not ready to present that to the board yet.
That's correct.
That's my understanding, so. Let's see, Almer, did you have any,
No, I don't.
thing for the group this morning?
No, I don't.
Okay,
Okay.
and I know that we're not gonna, that this is not anything for y'all to act on, but I am going to have some direction on the schedule updates and how we're gonna handle those, because I can't run reports to give y'all reports on the actual information, you know, to prepare the assessment notices and that sort of thing until I know which values we're gonna use. So we're going to have to come together about that after y'all have had a chance to review the information that I forwarded you and make a decision. We do have some follow-ups that we've got to do on field work, and we'll try to get those scheduled so that we're not having to have any contact when we do the site checks. And then the other thing that I had finally is I misspoke earlier when I said that Jan only had 4 or 5 accounts left. She told me that she's got 10 or 12 accounts left. And we had discussed that it would take several days to do those because they're very detailed. But I do believe that I'm leaning towards maybe trying to send those assessment notices separate from the real property, so that we can go ahead and move on those personal property notices. I know we get several calls a week asking when those notices will be sent because auditors are looking for them. The accountants for the companies are looking for those notices. So if we can complete that personal property digest, I do think that I would like to go ahead and send those notices separate from the real property, so that won't be held up as well.
All right, what's the timeline you're thinking of? And like I say, normally we'd be sending this time of year. I know the deadlines, the April 1st deadlines were extended to was it June 1st or
June 15th.
June 15th.
Yes, sir.
So is my understanding correct that we need to wait and send notices after June 15th?
Some counties are moving forward with their notices and just handling any applications that come in after the notice date with error and releases, the same way that they would handle those conservation covenants that come in lieu of an appeal during the 45-day appeal period. So some counties are moving forward. This really wouldn't affect the personal property, which is what I was asking, which was what I was telling y'all. I would like to separate the mailing of the notices this year, and so we can go ahead and get.
What I'm asking is, you know, we saw the orders from the Department of Revenue. That was our last regular meeting. I think those were presented and put in the record. And you're just refreshing my memory right now. And I'm thinking of that timeline, that calendar on your wall.
The timeline, they did not change the timeline, Dan. The
Okay,
digest.
that's what I'm asking. That's what I was asking. So we can continue moving forward with our notice of assessments, but we just need to get our ducks in a row, so to speak.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and it sounds like you're talking about you and Jan, y'all are working on a few last accounts on the personal property side, and then on the real property side, we've got the sales study that we talked about earlier with Stan. And clarify for the board here, am I understanding then the sales study adjusted the base, you know, like I think of and what is based, what's the right word? Remind me on
Base rates is the right word. Yes, sir.
the base, like the 1,500 square for the typical house or whatever, or and then I know there's like the typical acre of land, and certain, you know, each part of the county, and then it's adjusted depending on how close it is to whether it's on a paved road or whatever.
Yes, sir. And in
so-
that, In that
So
email,
y'all
that
have
I forwarded you,
Uh,
in the email that I forwarded you a little while ago, there is a page that's got the base schedules and it shows the changes on the base schedules.
so now, here's my question I was gonna ask. Have those been applied in the camera system? In other words, all the information has been updated, is my understanding correct?
It has, because that's the only way that we can run the studies that we need to check the numbers is to apply it. And so,
So if the board, if we decide at the next meeting, if we decide to, to authorize sending the notices, what I'm understanding is you're ready to hit the button, is that right?
well, no,
Does it matter?
sir. We've still got some permits that we need to check, and we've got some things that we need to do on the appraisal end because, basically the month of April, once returns are in and applications are in, we use the month of April to prepare for our assessment notices, and we have not been able
Well,
to.
that's what I'm asking is how close are you ready? In other words, what I understood from Jan, on the personal property, you've got a few more accounts you're gonna look at. On the real property, how close are you ready? In other words, y'all got more legwork to do. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, I mean, I don't think there's anything that's going to take a long time. I would suspect that we probably need at least 2 or 3 days in the field to do field work. But, that's going to be a lag some because we've got the social distancing order and, and so Quentin would be having to go out to do those by himself. I couldn't go with him because I'm in quarantine. And Janet's working on the personal property side of things. And so he would be slowed down by the fact that he would have to be out doing those himself. And then we'd have to coordinate it with taxpayers. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's a lot. I mean, I would think that there are probably under 20 things that we need to check. But I would say 2 or 3 days worth of field work at the most.
Okay, and the reason I'm asking, I'm just trying to figure out at our next regular meeting, if that's gonna be something that will be ready to be put on the agenda as we get to that point.
But Dan, the thing is, once I get my stuff done, I'm going to have to know what y'all want to do before then, but to get stuff ready to present to you. Because if I don't know whether you're taking these new numbers or keeping the old ones, I can't run the reports
That's what I'm asking then. So basically you're saying we're probably gonna be 2 meetings out to approve the notice of assessments then. I'm just trying to picture the timeline. I'm thinking of the timeline. I'm just trying to picture.
At least, because the first meeting, y'all are going to have to tell me what your decision is. And then in the second meeting, I should have the numbers because during that time, we'll be able to complete the field work. My main holdup is not the field work. My main holdup is knowing what we're going to do about these schedule updates.
So y'all are moving forward then, okay. Okay.
Do y'all have any problem with me mailing personal property notices separate from real property? Can I come back at our next meeting with the word, I want to mail personal property notices, here are my numbers?
You can present your recommendation and I think we have to vote and authorize. It has to be in our meeting minutes, doesn't it?
Okay.
Prior to mailing them, if I remember right.
That's correct. So I will be recommending at the next meeting to move forward with the personal property notices, even though the real property is not completed.
Well, we're moving forward to complete them all. That's what I'm saying. Get your action plan together. Let's keep moving forward. So, all right, let's see is, on executive session, I don't think we have any business today that, no executive session.
No, sir.
Knows of anything, okay. Then let's see, on the next meeting,
Can we can we possibly meet again in 2 weeks? And I think by then we should have the personal property completed. And maybe y'all will have some direction for me on the real property. It would be a very brief meeting in 2 weeks. The only 2 agenda items would be the schedule updates and the mailing of personal property notices. And then, of course, if we had any more information on that Freeport, we could put it on there too.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. That week, sometime the week of the 18th.
Yes,
That's
sir.
fine with me.
It would just have those 3 agenda items.
Okay.
Okay.
So probably May 19th, that Tuesday.
May 19th is
let's
good for
see.
me.
I have meetings on Tuesdays is not good for me. What about the 20th?
Any day that week's good for me.
Why don't we say that Wednesday again?
The 20th work for you, Mr. McCants?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. We're gonna do 9:30?
That's good for me.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. Looks like we're about to get the hang of doing these over the web using the Zoom meetings.
yes,
I did learn from Carol that the Board of Commissioners has not met. I think since the offices have been closed. When I talked, I just asked, were they having their regular meeting this past Monday? And she said, no, they weren't meeting. So. All right. Well, thanks everyone. Let's see. If
Thank
there's
you.
no other business, we'll have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
back.
All right. We
That's
have
at
a motion and a second.
11:16.
Pardon?
11:16 a.m.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right. Thank y'all.
Thank
All right,
y'all.
thanks everyone.
Good rest
Thanks.
of the day.
All right.